every day was like the hardest day of my life as an artist because and you just have to section off that like stress of just like tomorrow is going to be very hard, but I'm not going to think about it yet. I'll get to that when I get there because tomorrow I have to design a city that doesn't exist. I have to design 50 people walking around a market that don't have costumes yet, and I have to design all those. I have to design a brand new vehicle that doesn't exist yet. I have to figure out how it lands. Like you have to be the concept artist, production designer, the writer, producer. You have to do everything. So it's a lot on your shoulders, but it's also exciting.
The legendary Ben Mauro joins us for this episode of the Learn Squared podcast. And after a few years since his last appearance, Ben tells us about the incredible adventure he has been on since, particularly around the launch and realization of the Huxley Saga, Ben's own personal IP that he brought to life, and a passion project in the truest of terms. In this episode, Ben gives us a candid insight into how he was able to bring this to life, as well as the next chapter in the Huxley Saga, the prequel graphic novel, Huxley the Oracle, which you can grab now by hitting the links attached to this episode. So let's jump in, catch up with Ben, and hear more about this incredible creative. Let's go. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Learn Squared podcast. I'm delighted to welcome on the amazing Ben Mauro, who returns for another episode. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Ben, so it's been a few years since you last jumped on. I believe it was 2022, as we were just speaking. A lot of things have changed, some majorly so, some not so majorly so. But welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
So, what? Before we get into all the good stuff, if you wouldn't mind, for the people that are jumping on you, who may not have checked the last episode out, or maybe not even familiar with yourself, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick intro as to who you are and what you've been up to.
Sure. My name is Ben Mauro. I've been a senior concept designer and art director for the past, I guess, 15 years or so now. Worked on, most recently, Halo Infinite. In the past, worked at Weta Workshop for about 4 years on the Hobbit trilogy, Elysium, Chappie, Mortal Engines, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and kind of freelanced a lot on video games like Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3 and 4, the movie Valerian, Lucy, a bunch of stuff. And I was traveling for like 3 years doing that, and then I finally settled down in Seattle. I needed a dedicated studio to work on my graphic novel Huxley, and work on Halo Infinite as like my day job at the time. And kind of been here for the past 7 years now. It's been a while.
Cool.
Book's out now. We'll get to that, but yeah.
Sure. So I remember previously when we spoke, you did mention what life was like at the time where you just got your laptop and you went traveling, right? And you worked alongside. How are you now in that space? Like, is that something that you still want to get back to? Is that chapter kind of like, at least for now, done?
I'm feeling the like itchy feet, as they call it, to like travel again. It took a long time. Like a lot of it was like the traveling was, I needed to like fill the cup up of my life experiences, and then I needed to like let it all out, like empty the cup into something, which was Huxley at the time. And now that I've done that, I'm feeling the need to like fill that up again in some way. It's harder now. I'm older now and a bit more settled. But and we got a dog now, so it's hard to travel without the dog. But yeah, I'm getting a feeling to do that again. We recently went to Japan, and that kind of sparked that again, where it's like, man, I forgot about all this. This is so cool. What else is out there? How much things have changed? It's been like 10 years since we've been to Japan. It's really.
How long were you out there for?
Maybe like 11 days or so, 12 days.
What kind of impact did it have? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not as well traveled as yourself, but like we just mentioned, when you got responsibilities and things just seem not that they're not possible, but it's like it's put on the back burner, right? Like I don't have time for that, or it's not time to maybe do it now. And then when you do get out, it just kind of feel like the leash is off and you can just run around and enjoy a lot of the stuff, at least creatively as well. In those 11 days, like how potent was it just to be like away and experience new things?
It was good because it specifically was to go to an art event, THU Japan, where Kojima, Yoji Shinkawa, like a lot of art heroes, George Miller, Tim Miller, um, Simon Lee, like a lot of my art heroes that I just haven't seen in a long time or had never met like for a longer period of time. So it's like getting to see them talk, getting to see them work, and you're around them for a longer period of time than just like oh hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
It was just like they're there for a while. You can kind of get a sense for like I don't know, like being around people that you admire and seeing that we're all kind of the same, just like really hardworking people that really want to make something cool. And it's just this is our life, like every day. This is just what we do. So that was super inspiring. And then just to be in Japan and be around a totally different environment. Like it was specifically in a small town on the west coast of Japan. So like that was something I hadn't really experienced either. Instead of like just going to Tokyo, a big city or something, you're in a small little town, like rural Japan, and getting to experience that also was really, really cool.
What do you notice like when you're not in the, I guess, like say like Tokyo or the postcard kind of place, right? Like the one that everyone normally goes to, and rightfully so. Like it is iconic, and I've never been, but everyone I've spoken to who has been always has something positive to say. Like, and even not only positive, it's profound as well. But I've spoken to a few people who like yourself, have just gone away from the mainstream, right? And like, you know, gone to smaller rural places. What do you get from those kind of spaces?
I think, I mean, over the years, I've always tried to like simplify and slow down my life. But when you go, like Tokyo is very much like it's like New York City or a big city or something. And then going to a small town like that outside the city, it was like Kaga City, I think it's called, and really slower pace of life. And you just see how like someone could live there. I mean, I guess it's similar to like when I was younger, we would go up north in Michigan. It was just very slow pace of life, but just different. But you just see like a really small town. I think there's only like 1,000 people total living in that area, and some of it was just like we were exploring the city and like, oh, let's go find a cafe to get a coffee. Oh, no one works until Wednesday because so everything's just shut down. It's like, okay, I guess we can't get that. So a lot of it was just very, really small, really slow, but really, really beautiful. Just everything, like the way everything's built, the way they think about architecture and graphic design, like just pattern work and the infrastructure of everything is so different. Like I don't know, you can take a photo and it looks like a cool piece of concept art or like an anime or something. Like they don't have to do much because everything is so like well designed and beautiful. It's really cool. Just very inspiring.
Amazing. TSU event. So just those names you mentioned alone, just an event with just those guys only in a room. That's like bucket list multiple times over, right?
Yeah.
Please tell me about that.
Felt like it wasn't, yeah, it almost felt like it wasn't real. Like I saw it on the website, I was like, is this real? Like is this real? That doesn't seem possible. And I was like, okay, let's go. If it's real, that's amazing. And it was. And you're like, there's like 300 people with some of the craziest lineup I had ever seen of people. And I was like, this is like a dream come true. I kind of don't. And then I still coming back, it's like I kind of don't believe that even happened.
Yeah.
Like, did that really happen? It was really cool. They did a good job. And yeah, it was so small and intimate, which was the coolest part because it wasn't like, oh, here's 10,000 people at an event, seeing Kojima or something. It's like, no, it's like 250 to 300 people. That's it. You know, you really get to see them and meet them and stuff, which is awesome. And of course, like trying to give my heroes my book in person was amazing. And was able to do that, which is really special. Yeah.
What was that moment like? Because there's a difference, and I'm sure you've had that experience yourself when students and your peers have met you yourself as well. Because over the years, like you yourself have been very influential and inspirational to especially artists who have been coming up and trying to find their way. You've been very open about advice on what to do and what to look out for, as well as being a creative inspiration as well. So what was it like in that regard to meet heroes from your perspective? Not only just to obviously share what you wanted to share and greet them, but also give something that is your own creation that you put a lot of time into as much as they have put into their things. What was that? I'm sure it was surreal, but was there anything like extra significant to that as opposed to just, hey, this is my stuff, I give this to you kind of thing, if that makes sense?
I think a lot of it was, I mean, I hope they read it and enjoy it, and it gives them some, like, something they think is cool as much as they have inspired me. Um, I mean, that's a very big goal. I mean, I hope it's not just like, oh, cool, you know, thanks, man, whatever. But hopefully they appreciate it and think it's really cool and check it out. And that's I guess my goal, because like a lot of the reason was they were speaking about storytelling, and I've been getting, that's just what I've been doing the past, many years for Huxley and the next book after that. So a lot of it was like understanding and hearing how they think about telling stories and continue to think about telling stories. So that was like really, it's like I needed this information, and there was an event where these people were sharing this information. It was just like a perfect, like sometimes the universe like creates the thing you need, and you just have to go. It's up to you to go get it or whatever. And it felt like a thing like that, where it's just like hearing them talk helped solve some problems that I was thinking about for the next books or the next stories. And it was, I don't know, it was really cool.
So THU has always been famous. I've never been to a THU event yet, but it's always been famous for always communicating approachability, and whoever enters the event is not like a like a convention type of thing. It's more a gathering, like they pitch it, for example. Was that the case? And did you get to have a conversation with those guys in a similar way? I'm sure they would have been hounded left, right, and center from everybody there. And you don't have to share the conversations if they're private, for example. But what kind of interactions did you have? And like you mentioned from their talks, what you got, but did you get anything maybe unique to yourself or a little personable, like anecdotes to yourself when you spoke to them?
Like Kojima and George were like a bit more sectioned off, because they're just,
of course,
amazing. But like Yoji Shinkawa and some of these other artists that I had a lot more time to chat with them. So like even like Yoji, just seeing, like I was really curious, like how did you, like, I guess I was just curious, like for something like Death Stranding, like how did you keep something like that so consistent? Like, because the art direction is so clean and so consistent across an entire game. The studio was just made. Like, how did you structure that? Like, how was that? Does that? I guess a lot of it was like curiosity.
Sure.
Like, how do you manage such a big project and keep things so clean and strong? Because like even years later, you can go back to Death Stranding 1, and it's the art direction is still super tight and strong, and like still looks fresh and clean. Like that is a testament to like good art direction.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it was just my curiosity about like how do you guys usually handle that? Is like what's sort of structure at a company? Because I've been at companies where it's like complete opposite, where it's like there's a lot of people and things don't turn out super great, or it's just very dysfunctional, or yeah. So a lot of it is just like I'm very curious about that kind of stuff. So if I ever make a Huxley game or something like that, that would be
sick.
I'd hopefully want to try to do things the same way, or yeah.
And you mentioned obviously you went there, you had kind of like some questions or some overarching like things where you just I need to figure this out, how the best way to approach it. Sometimes it's a case of you know what you want to do, but what's the best way to approach it? Did you get those answers speaking and listening to those guys?
I think so. I mean, a lot of it too was the way I thought about things was how they thought about things, which was cool to hear. So it's like, oh, I want to do things this way, and the way they were recommending to do things was the same way. I was like, okay, I'm kind of doing it the right way. I'm not like, mm. Or it's just interesting to hear like this is how we think about storytelling, or this is how we think about this, and it's like okay, kind of have been doing that, so it like affirms like I'm
Yes,
heading in the
yes.
right direction, kind of thing. Um, which was really cool, and like George Miller just was like a sage like voice, and everything he said was just like a quotable, amazing quote of wisdom. Um,
For, so obviously with anything, especially we're film nerds. Whenever a great film comes out or a creator makes a film, I tend to binge as much as I can on the interviews and any little tidbit I can get from what they're saying. And there's something that, not in a jarring kind of way, but George's films and how George communicates, they just seem like it's from very different people almost. Like the energy that his films have and how visceral they are and how considered he is and how almost this is my take, and obviously this is me watching it through a screen. There's just so much like lack of doubt in terms of what he wants. And obviously there's a creative process where you have to figure certain things out. Sometimes it's not the way you intend it, but it just seems he knows how he wants to create and what he wants to do. He has his framework for how he wants to get there, what he needs to build off of. So yeah, that's just my take from George, and it sounds like that was what he was like in person as well.
yeah, and there's also I don't know if they said this specific. I think maybe Hideo Kojima said this, but like he doesn't like to explain everything. I feel like George does this in like Fury Road and stuff, where the beginning of Fury Road, for example, I don't feel like they explain everything to the viewer. You just see a man standing on a cliff,
Yes.
and you're like, oh, what is this person doing here? What are they doing? And then he eats a two-headed lizard or something, and that starts giving information about the world. You're like, why is there a two-headed lizard? And then he gets chased by people and is captured, and there's no one like narrating all this. You're just like, oh my god, what is this? There's a tower, and there's this people are fighting over what, like you're just visually shown all this information. And Kojima kind of said something similar, like I don't want to explain everything to my audience. Like in Death Stranding 1, you see a person on a motorcycle. Uh, the landscape is explaining things to you. He goes into a cave. Rain happens, and you see it ages.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's creating all these questions. Like, why did that happen? What
Yes.
what is this? Why are there footprints? Like you are creating a lot of questions in the audience's mind that you have time. It gives you time to explain throughout the story, and it's just interesting to hear how they thought about that or explain that, or things that I assumed that they were like, yes, this is how I'm trying to do things. Was really cool.
Do you like those stories as well? Do you prefer, as a viewer at least, to be questioned and to try and figure things out yourself?
I think so. I think you can take it too far though.
Mm.
Like there's a line where you just keep doing that, and then it's like, oh well, I think this person doesn't know what they're doing, or I don't know what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like Lost, or some shows where you're like, wow, they're creating all these questions, but then it was clear they maybe didn't know. They were just doing it to like keep things going. Like it's like spinning wheels on
Yeah.
a thing, and you're like, how many can I do before it crashes? And you're like, no, you need to like know where this is going
Mm-hmm.
and wrap it up. You can't just like put more things in the air. Like it's almost like a cop out if you don't know what you're doing. Like here's the story arc of Jon Snow or something, and we need to come to resolution. You're like, oh, let me throw some weird thing, and I don't have to figure that out anymore. I can just keep it going for another 2 seasons because I can just create some weird unexplained thing and keep the story going. So I think it's really good at the beginning of stories, but if it's continually happening as like a excuse not to solve a problem, that's not good.
Yes.
Yes. So it's interesting. There's a lot of things like this with stories where it's like, what are great ways to start something? What are great ways to do something in a middle and an end? And seeing how people have used those over the years, and what works, what doesn't work, what's
Mhm.
satisfying, what's not satisfying. Why do we remember one thing? Why do we forget about something the moment we walk out of the theater or close Netflix or something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really fascinating thing to analyze stories and things. Yeah.
Oh, fully agree. That's something that I don't like. I wish I could just sit there and just meditate on these things and dwell and write essays and stuff on this kind of stuff. But it is something that I find myself just geeking out more and more and more. And when something does it right, it's like, yes, amazing. And you want everyone to watch it. And then when it kind of doesn't go well, it's like, sometimes it's a case of, that's just terrible. And you move on. Sometimes it's a case of, that could have been so amazing, but it just needed
Yeah.
that one little thing. And it's like so sad. And the shows we were talking about then, two examples that are great for that. Lost, obviously one. But that was, like we just said, that was just something that was consistently almost kept alive when it needed to end, probably after season 3, maybe. Once they got to the hatch, start wrapping things up. 1 or 2 seasons, that's enough. That'd have been so potent. It's like, imagine Breaking Bad spread over almost 10 seasons, right? Like, it needed 5. And it got 5 and it was perfect. And then another one, Game of Thrones, for the same kind of reason. Like, obviously, that was a different dynamic. They were kind of playing off an existing story. They really outpaced that, and then it was, well, this is such a big thing. And I guess it's the dynamic of, that's where money comes into it, and studios and what they want, and all these different, I guess, voices at play as well. So it is like an interesting dynamic. Sometimes it's purely just from a creative point of view, then it's a business point of view, and that beautiful chaos that ensues. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's so fascinating.
And that's how it's amazing. What is it like? I don't know who said that, but it like maybe just the common understanding of working in games and films. Like it's almost a miracle sometimes that a movie can even get
Mm-hmm.
made. Sometimes just with all the things that need to happen and all the people that are involved in it, and like, um, yeah, it's not as simple as like, I love this book. I'm gonna make this. It's gonna be so easy. It's just so
Yeah.
many different things involved. Like maybe the director's amazing and the funding's amazing, but this element it was poorly cast, and then that it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work. Or the opposite, the cast is amazing, but the writing wasn't good, and there's so many things in the mix that can make it go good, bad, or in the middle. And I think that's what's fascinating about it, though, too, where it's just like the chaos of it, of
Yeah.
all these mixtures together. Will the meal come out edible
Yes.
or amazing? I think that's why people just love being part of that industry and seeing if what will come out the other side, because it's not guaranteed by any means. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, as crazy as it sounds and maybe off-putting, and it probably should be, but there is something attractive about that chaos. I don't know what it is. I'm sure you feel that same thing about yourself. It's like, yeah, I know it's a bit crazy, but I can definitely have a voice in that. Or maybe it's just the fact of being crazy in itself. Does that feel like to you in your career ever? You mentioned a few obviously things before, like some projects were a bit chaotic versus obviously, what Kojima was speaking about. But how's your take been on your career in the industry in general?
Well, a lot of it too is almost like it's just the creative process almost played
Mm-hmm.
out on a bigger scale. Like, and even things where it's like, oh, this did well. I'm going to do the exact same thing, and it's like, oh, well,
Yeah,
people didn't like
yeah,
it that time because
yeah.
it's not new anymore. You're giving people the same thing. Like same thing with like making a painting. Like, oh, I made this painting. People that got the most likes or whatever, or people seem to like it the most. I'll keep doing a couple more. Oh,
Yeah.
they aren't liking it as much because it's maybe too similar to what I just did, or I'm not giving anything new, and I need to keep changing and I need to keep growing. Um, and I feel like it's the same thing, right? If a movie comes out and you're like, wow, this horror movie was a hit, and then they just make like
Hmm.
5 of the same horror movie, you're like,
Yeah.
I already saw that. You're just giving me the same thing. Like, Get Out was amazing, but if they made 10 more almost identical Get Outs, like people wouldn't
Yes.
watch it. It's just like, no,
Yes.
there's something fresh and original with that, with what Jordan Peele did. Um, Remaking something almost exactly the same just wouldn't work because he already
Hmm.
made it. Um, yeah, I think I don't know. It's almost like, yeah, the individual creative experience we have just played out on a bigger scale. I think also though what I've tried to do is to that point, like, oh, I worked on this, I'll work on something similar. Like I've always tried to pick projects that are very different to one another and
Mm-hmm.
contain something that I'm trying to learn. So as I go, I'm also being, it's almost like going to a different school, like, oh, I need to learn Spanish or something. I'm going to go on this project because I'll probably get pretty good at this new language. And then
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that I need to learn Japanese. I'm going to go on this project because that's
Yes.
the only way it'll force me to learn this other language or this other skill or whatever. And I feel like I've tried to do that as much as possible. Or like, oh, 8 of my favorite artists are working on this game. Maybe I don't like that game or maybe I do, but being in a room with those 8 artists will make me better. And
Yes.
I need that experience right now in my life. I'm going to go there and figure it out. So I feel like things like that have been helpful um, over the past years. Or and in this case now, I've been working on a new game, and it's like I need to be that person now, and maybe I can create that experience where we have 8 of the best people in the world in a room, and I'm creating that experience instead of going to that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's been full full circle kind of thing.
Interesting. That's one of the biggest takeaways I got from the last time we spoke, and it was basically what you just summarized is maybe like you could say hunting for that next experience of what you wanted to go for, and knowing that I don't know if it's a case of like it was more subconscious and you felt like okay, I kind of got what I want now, I need to kind of like move on to the next thing, or it was also like I really like this, but I should really move on as well because I'm gonna get complacent there as well. But for a lot of artists as well, that's like I guess that's a common thread you see through a lot of creatives. That thing of like maybe it's because the act of being a creative, like you can do so many things and try so many things, and sometimes it can get overwhelming. So some people do want to try that as well. At the same time, how did you and how would you advise people who maybe want to do something similar to be able to get themselves in a position to be able to pick and choose? Because for some people, it's a case of they have no, or they feel they have no choice but to just take whatever comes to them. And obviously, in another
Sure.
situation, it's a case of, well, I have all these options on the table, or maybe if they're not options on the table, but they still go for the case of like, but I really want to go to that thing, so I'm going to make moves doing that. I guess what was it like from your experience, and how would you advise somebody who is maybe not sure how to tackle that same kind of dynamic?
It was definitely maybe I don't know if it's like the folly of youth or the
Okay.
you don't know what you don't know, where I can just blindly go into things when I was younger and just like screw it, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it was just being. I mean, I was. I always. I'm always worried about the future, or maybe I have anxiety about the future. So I'm always trying to plan for if things don't go well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm on this great movie. I'm working on The Hobbit. What if the movie doesn't come out and I can't show my work? That
Mm.
wouldn't be great. But it's a very real scenario working in the film industry where I was at Weta and I saw all these amazing artists and some of the most amazing work I'd ever seen in my life on the servers, and they could never show it because those movies never came out and the studios would never let them show it. And so you had some of the best people in the world unable to show 99% of their portfolio, and they seemed to feel like they were stuck in some ways because they couldn't show it. So for me, I was like, well, what if all these cool things I'm working on take 8 years or never come out, or that also can happen. Like it's going to come out, then it gets shelved, then it comes back 5 years later, and then it gets shelved, then it comes back, and it just maybe takes 20 years to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for me, the solution was, okay, every weekend I'll keep the momentum going from the work week and I'll start making my own portfolio. So if for whatever reason nothing comes out, I could still go get a job, or I have some visibility of me as an artist in our industry. So for me, that was kind of like a little bit of a backup plan early on in my career,
Mm-hmm.
where that helped um, build up a little bit of a or enough of a social media presence where I could maybe start getting freelance jobs and doing some other things, so that I wasn't fully reliant on maybe one company or something. So that helped a little bit at the start. Uh, and yeah, I think that was the initial like. then the movie started coming out, and things started snowballing a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
from there, and that gave a little bit more opportunity. Where I don't know if it was Call of Duty that got in touch with me, or I just started reaching out to different companies like, hey, I'm kind of interested in doing this. Um, and I think once it started happening, once I got like one or two fairly steady jobs, but it can always drop out. You never know. But I just kind of went for it, and I think part of it is just being able to be comfortable with the discomfort of not knowing,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and having the ability to figure things out if and when they go horribly wrong, and you're stuck in another country, you have no job, you have no money, uh, and you got to figure it out and work your way out of the problem. Um, and not being too stressed about that is definitely a skill that I guess I've just gotten good at, always being comfortable being stressed out about a million things, but
Interesting.
it doesn't become stressful anymore because you're just always, it's like, was it like uh, the scene in Avengers with the Hulk, and they're like, it's like, that's my secret, I'm always angry or something. It's just like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my secret,
yeah.
I'm always stressed out. Like, how are you not stressed out? I was
Okay,
like, oh, that's my secret,
fair
I'm always
enough.
stressed out. It's not stressing. The stress level, like
Yeah,
the 1,000% stress level is now the 1%, and
right.
there's way more levels beyond that. It takes a lot now. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely something to that, where I've just become comfortable with the discomfort, and
Mm-hmm.
allows me to. When I was younger, it was definitely more stressful, but yeah, just being able to figure things out. Like, and at the time, Gumroad was big too. So if a job came out, oh, I can sell photo packs, and I'm traveling
Yeah,
anyway, so I
yeah.
can take photos, and everything I had was like a tool to support this weird experiment I was doing traveling. So it's like, okay, I have a laptop to do my job. I have a good enough camera that took nice reference photos of these cool places I was at. I had a means through the internet to create products and sell them, and I wasn't making that much, but it was enough to fund this. So if anything went wrong, I was kind of in trouble, but it was like enough of a balance that it worked for 3 years.
Nice.
But again, I just kind of tried to figure it out. I don't know what that equivalent would be now because
Right.
everything's changed so much, but um, that's kind of how I did it. And now I'm a lot more settled in my life, and a bit more comfortable and stuff. But uh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what that equivalent would be now, but I guess there are so many. Like being in the countryside in Japan, the cost of living is much lower. Food and everything is so much cheaper than. I mean, I think that's what I saw when I was traveling when I was younger too, where going to different countries, like, oh my god, if I was getting paid my whatever my Call of Duty salary and I lived here, I would
Mm.
only have to work 1 month a year, and that would pay for my whole or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
understanding the cost of living to how much you're being paid, and like doing those numbers, understanding like maybe what you're being paid where you live is just enough to like pay your monthly rent, but somewhere else it's like, wow, every month that pays for 6 months. That's incredible. Like, let me try to figure out a way to make that work. Things like that were really eye opening when I was younger too.
Wow, that's very inspirational and very interesting to hear. It actually does sound like one of the Bourne films. Like there's always like kind of something on the move. There's always a threat around the corner. You gotta have your go bag, know where your exit is, and then just make sure you survive the next thing. But at the same time, make it through to the adventure and to the end. Now, amidst all this, and you mentioned obviously before the miracle of just things coming to fruition. You could say Huxley is that one of those things as well. Like, how often have you heard artists, concept artists, and I'm not saying this in a mocking way because I actually am glad that there's many of us who, whilst we create, do it for a living, do it commercially as well, have this burning, itching desire to kind of like make your own thing, bring it to life. There's so many, God knows how many worlds are swimming around in people's heads that have not been realized yet. How did that all begin for you? And where is it at now?
Mm, I think it started. I mean, it originally started probably when I was on. Well, some of the early sketches were like when I was in college. Like the style was there, but I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was
Oh, cool. That
cool.
far back.
Um, and then maybe during Elysium days at Weta, where production, like working on a production, is like an arms race of skills and new techniques. And um, maybe when I got the job, it was drawing on paper and illustrating in Photoshop. And every day I felt like I felt like an artist, and I had an original idea on paper that I colored, and it was like, wow, I'm like, I made art today. But the more you got into a movie and they're like, I want this to look photoreal, I want this to happen in like by lunchtime or something, you just have to like start photo bashing and doing all these different techniques or ZBrush or whatever. And I was feeling less and less like I was making what I thought was art. So to not really cope with that, but as like a compromise, I was like, okay, I'll do whatever I need to do at the job, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to draw with pencil and paper and I'm going to illustrate. Uh, and that kind of turned into Huxley. Like,
Mm.
I need this thing for me in order to be okay with doing stuff for them. And that was like my yin yang,
Mm.
kind of like chaos and order balance of just, yeah, I'll come to office and like learn every new crazy technique needed to be the most cutting edge production artist. And then I'm going to go home and draw a new character with pencil and feel like I did everything myself. And that was like my balance that made all this okay. And slowly that turned into, one of those experiments was Huxley came out of that original drawing of Huxley came out of that. And I was like, there's something here. This is really unique. It feels really cool. I need to figure out who this character is. What's his story? And it all kind of just slowly, it's like a seed was planted and I slowly
Mm-hmm.
grew that into a tree. And now that it took around 10 years and that's finally was completed. And now it's more like the tree has grown and now I need to turn it into a forest kind of thing.
Yes. Do you think if it was in reverse, so let's say you were working on Huxley and you had all the time to do it, do you think you would have needed that production gig as well to kind of like get that through? Because it, like I said, it's a yin yang kind of thing. Like, were they kind of supporting each other? Do you think?
Personally, I needed, like, because I tried to take time off where I was maybe spent a month or 6 months only working on Huxley,
Right.
and working for someone else really helped structure my mind and structure me for deadlines. So like I found I was more efficient having something that took me away from the thing I wanted to do and made me just stay on a much more efficient schedule. So like maybe when I would take a week off, I did get more done, but after the first week, the productivity fell down. And but when I was in a day job, like this needs to get done by Wednesday or else, that kept me really efficient and I got more pages done. So I just kind of kept both at the same time. So for me, I needed the structure of like working at a job that wasn't, it was fairly balanced. There was fairly decent work-life balance and not something like if I was working on a movie, it wouldn't have worked because they demand like 1,000% of your time. So I
Yeah.
needed something that was like, I was learning a lot. There was structure there, but then at like 5 or 6, it's like, that's your time. It was a pretty good balance. So I needed that, personally needed that structure. Yeah.
What was your brief to yourself, or what was the initial intention for when you started those pages? Like, was it, I'm just going to make a graphic novel, or was it like as pure as just a simple doodle, and it just became what it became?
I think it was definitely, like after working on a bunch of movies at Weta, I saw the like pros and cons of, same kind of thing. Like, wow, people worked on these movies and they can't show their work. Wow, these directors
Mm-hmm.
pitched and sold like 20 different movies and nothing happened, or they got locked away in a shelf. So some other studio didn't get it. It's like, well, I don't want that to happen. And so I can't make a movie myself. I can't make a game myself. Because it just requires too many people, but I could make a graphic novel. It's still one of the few mediums that a single person can do themselves. It takes a long time. I mean, if you open up some of your favorite graphic novels, there's like a lot of names in there still. But a graphic novel is still one of the few ways that a sole creator can like write and illustrate and create like the 100% product themselves. And then it's out there. No one can take it away. No one can like shut it down. So to me, that was like a really powerful thing. And I was okay with it if it took a long time. So it's very much like, I want this to be a graphic novel or some kind of illustrated story. And just kind of went from there. I didn't know the whole thing. I had the general outline of the plot, but I knew how it started. I knew what the first, I think a lot of it was like, I kept having, like, you want to think too much, like, oh, I'm going to think about my story. I'm going to like plan things out. And then you just end up planning things for like a year and you haven't started anything. So for me, it was like, well, I know how it starts and I'll figure it out as I go. Same kind of thing. Like, the anxiety of not knowing is okay. And you got to be just okay with it, where it's like, and you just trust that you'll figure it out along the way. And I kind of just threw myself into that chaos where like, I know how this starts. I know how the first 5 to 10 pages generally look. I don't have all this stuff designed, so I'll have to design it as I go. Like every day, I've said this before, but like every day was like the hardest day of my life as an artist, because, and you just have to section off that like stress of just like, tomorrow is going to be very hard, but I'm not going to think about it yet.
Okay.
I'll get to that when I get there, because tomorrow I have to design a city that doesn't exist. I have to design 50 people walking around a market that don't have costumes yet, and I have to design all those. I have to design a brand new vehicle that doesn't exist yet. I have to figure out how it lands. Like, you have to be the concept artist, production designer, the writer, producer. You have to do everything. Like, so it's a lot on your shoulders. But it's also exciting. So it's like stressful, but it's exciting. And then, yeah, just doing that for almost 10 years. And then finish it. and then it's like a whole new mountain to climb. It's like, who's going to publish this? How am I going to sell this? Every publisher wants something different. Are they going to care? This publisher only does graphic novels. Are they really going to care about another one? Are they just going to throw it out there with like graphic novel 9,000 in their portfolio? Is this publisher who hasn't done graphic novels yet? I think they'll really care about it. I think I would rather take a chance on that. Should I do it myself? Should I figure? And I went through that process. Like, if I manufactured this, how much would it cost? How do I get it on Amazon? How do I do it? Like, but then it's also, okay, I could, but I could also have just spent all this time working on the next book. And that should be where my time is at. Like, what is the best use of your time, and where should your time be spent the most? And who is the best partner to get something out into the world that will do a good job? And a lot of that just gets into, I guess, business and stuff, where it's like, yes, we can technically do everything ourselves, but what is the best use of our time as creatives? I think it should be making the next great story instead of spending 5 years figuring out how to be a publisher. You could have made 1 or 2 more books that expanded your thing. I think that's a better use of our time personally.
How far along the process did you start thinking about those things, start asking those questions? Was it towards the end?
Yeah, towards the end. I mean, that's why the adaptation of the book into the first trailer happened, because it's like, oh, I'm hopefully a year away to finish. It'd be awesome if I had like a trailer or something adapted from my work. Because if I wanted to pitch this for a show, I feel like that would be really helpful to get people to understand, like, because I've just been in those meetings where it's like, oh, cool art, but what would this look like as a movie? You're like, oh, it looks like this. Or what would this look like as a game? It's like, oh, it looks like this. And that eliminates a lot of the no's or doubts in the room, where it's just like, oh, he already did all the work. Like, that looks pretty cool. And wow, look at how many views. Like, people really liked it also. So I think stuff like that definitely helps. So a lot of it was just like planning ahead. But I think it took longer than a year, but I was probably, what I thought was a year, I would end up probably taking like 2 or 3 more years, but that's okay.
When you started working on it, obviously, like you said, every day would sound like it was a mountain to climb, and knowing the amount of work, and everyone knows that feeling when you either got mounting deadlines, just know you have a heap of stuff to get through and you have to get through it. At least if you commit yourself, because you don't always have to, you can always just leave it and give yourself a day off. But when you commit to something and you know you got to do it, you just, there is that kind of like intake of breath and then you just kind of get on with it. But were there any moments where you thought this isn't going to go anywhere or I shouldn't be bothering with this? Did you ever waver at any point?
Not really. It was more about like how long it took stressed me out the most. Like, oh, should I release this? Like I was halfway through. I was like, should I publish half of it? Um, and a lot of my friends who had done graphic novels were like, no, you should just wait and do the whole thing. So it was like, okay, just accepting like, okay, 3 more years. It'll probably take me 3 more years at this pace. Like, and just accepting like, okay, three years, that's fine. Um, but also I had no idea how I would make money with it. I had no idea if this like how am I going to sell this. I had no idea. Like, but I was perfectly. It's like throwing yourself into the chaos and being okay with it. Like, I don't know where this is going. I only know like I want to make this a bit, maybe a bit selfishly. Like, I think this is cool. I want to make this for myself, and hopefully other people think it's cool by the end. And I think there's something to that, which is like this is the only way new things can happen is if you kind of a little selfishly like I'm just going to make something for myself that I think is cool and hopefully other people think it's cool later on. Um, I think it was like Rick Rubin or some other like creative producer person that said something like this, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. That's what I did. Where it's like because if you and it was a reason I didn't post anything for almost the entire time I was working on it because I didn't want to be influenced by social media at the time, which was really influential to all of us. Like if I posted some page and for some reason that one got a lot of attention and people seemed to like some random character in the background, do I change my entire story that I had planned because of what a post on the internet was telling me? I didn't want that to influence me at all. I just want to say this is the story I want to tell. This is what I think is cool. Here's what I have to say, and I'm just going to say it. And if people don't like it, I'm willing to accept that, and that's okay. But this is just what I want to make and what I want to say, and I can be happy that I made something that I thought was cool and was me. And people don't like it, that's okay.
Sick. That's actually that's powerful and that's very refreshing to hear. Particularly because a lot of our industry, we exist mainly because obviously necessity as well on social media. That's how a lot of us get work and we show ourselves as well. And did it feel like you had to resist it or was it a deliberate choice to not put anything out?
It was definitely deliberate. A lot of it was, but I guess I was afforded that freedom because I still kept the day job as like a balance. So like, and also part of that was I also structured my life and to be as simple and cheap as possible. So for a lot of those years, and having a good partner that was okay with that too. My wife was okay with us just living in the smallest, cheapest apartment we could find. I had the cheapest car I could find. I had people making fun of me, and I was like, I don't care.
Sick.
Like this is like I need as much freedom and time. I need as much time, which costs money. So all my funds and cost of living was brought down as low as possible to hopefully is nothing or like if I was living in some other country like I was doing when I was traveling, we already had nothing. Like we sold all of our belongings. So like I don't care about having anything. Everything right. Like if you can't be happy with nothing, you probably it's gonna be hard to be happy with something. So like 3 years of being okay with just a backpack and a laptop, that's all I need to be happy. I don't need anything more. So everything after that is just extra, but I know I can be happy with nothing. So like teeny apartment, crappiest old car that barely runs, basically zero cost of living. So all the funds that came in afforded me a lot of time and freedom to, if things went bad, I would have a lot of time to finish and work on my own stuff. I think that helped a lot. I feel like I heard something recently where someone said something like this, like it was like a Jim Carrey comment he made where it's like, if you aren't willing to give everything up for a few years to make your dream come true because you're worried about other people making fun of you and something like this. Like if you're not willing to change your life and potentially look foolish to other people
Yes.
in order to achieve your dream, then you don't deserve it, or you're not. I don't know, something along these lines. And I kind of let like hit me pretty good because like, well, that's what I did. Like I remember I had friends visiting me and they like looked at my car like, what are you doing? Like you've been working for like so long. Like I don't care, man. Whatever. Like who cares?
Yeah.
I just want to make my book. That's all that matters to me. So stuff like that, where it's just like I really don't care. Like well, last year for 3 years I had nothing. I didn't even have a car, so I really don't care. So stuff like that was just like, what do I really want to do, and do anything to do it, is all that really matters to me. And same thing for like going to Weta. Like everyone at the time, everyone was like, oh, you should go in LA and work on all these big stuff. You get paid really well. It's like, I feel like New Zealand at Weta, they're doing something different. I'm going to go there. I don't care what I get paid. And I just want to learn something that I feel like I can't learn anywhere else. And I'm always chasing this knowledge, like chasing this unique knowledge that I can't get anywhere else.
Interesting.
So that I can become the best artist I need to be, depending on where I am in my creative journey, kind of thing. And I've always kind of stuck true to that, I think, pretty well. Yeah.
Sick. I love that so much. Was that definitely you knowing, or like having a sense of like, that's where I need to be or what I want to pursue? Or was it a hint of rebelliousness because everyone else saying this is the way to do it and I'm not going to do that? Is that does that even qualify in this sense?
I'm not sure. Like in what sense? Like I'm just gonna make my own thing.
Yeah, like so
Like
like if you mentioned the LA, for example, like I'm saying, you should stay in LA because again, when you're coming up or when you're trying to figure stuff out, you always look at what's the most stable thing, what's the most sustainable thing, and then they say it's this, and then you not necessarily do a 180, but it's like almost the advice says you shouldn't do this, and you went and did what the advice doesn't say. But like you said, you had your intention, you had your intent. But sometimes people do it in a way where they're like, well, I'm going to try it anyway, whether people suggest it or not. So I'm just curious what it was like for you.
I don't think it was that. I think it was more of just like going through the process of becoming an artist is sort of like, it's sort of like a way of understanding the world at a fundamental level. It's like, I want to learn anatomy. I have to learn like the fundamental building blocks of what it is to be a human. There's like skeleton, there's like organs, there's tissue and muscles on this, there's skin on top of that, and there's a nervous system connecting it all, and this is how we move, and this is how a human being exists. Like you have to understand everything at a fundamental level. And then the curiosity of that, it's like, well, okay, well, how does this work then? And how does that work then? And it's not like, oh, how do I draw like a character? How do I draw Spider-Man punching? It's like, it starts getting deeper, right? Really fast, where it's like, what is a human being? How are they built? What is the architecture of us? Well, why do we think this way? Why do we look this way? Why does this person look different than that person? Why does an animal look, okay, the anatomy of an animal is identical to a human, but it's just been adapted to live in the water versus as all the bones are the same. And you're like, oh my God. And you just see how everything's connected together and the adaptation and evolution of everything on the planet. I don't know. You just get real deep, real fast when you become an artist. And so a lot of that was just like, okay, I understand this. I understand this enough to be able to provide the service to these kind of jobs. And I always am kind of like looking way forward. Okay, if I stay here, I'm probably going to learn this. People who have stayed here, their work looks like this and they understand this, which is great. But I feel like people at the time it was Weta, District 9 had just come out. And I'm like, that is so fresh and so unique. And it feels like everything they do is just different. I want to understand what they know because I can't get that anywhere else. So for me, it was like, where can I go and get something that I feel is very special and unique, even if it means, again, discomfort. Even if it means willing discomfort from the norm, I'm okay with that. Like I'm comfortable with the discomfort. And if that means living in a small apartment in New Zealand for 4 years, I don't care. I want to learn this. So I guess I'm always just okay with like the willing discomfort to learn from people I feel are smarter than me and better than me. And I feel like it will always be like that. Um, but it's the same thing for the graphic novel, right? It's like, I'm okay with being discomfortable for, ended up being like 10 years or something to make something that I think is going to be cool. And I have no plan for how I'm going to get that time or income back, but I don't care because I think it's cool and I'll figure it out. And I did, but there's no plan for that, you know? It's just it's like giving yourself up to the chaos and just, I want to make this because I think it's cool and I'll figure it out. But sometimes it doesn't. And and I was willing to accept that. I was willing to accept I spent 10 years of my life into something that failed. And I'm okay with accept that if that was the outcome, you know?
I think that's quite powerful as well, like making your peace with something even before you embark on it. Like, this is the two outcomes. You got to accept which way it's going to go, and then you got to go for it. Did you have to ask yourself that multiple times along the way, or was it only at that beginning point and then you just go ahead with it afterwards?
I mean, I think you're always like, I think a lot of it too is just, it's almost like, in some ways, because it takes so long, it's almost like your diary or something, like, because you're always getting better and you're always getting, you're always watching new movies and watching new books or reading new books and trying to like slowly improve it as it goes. So I think it was just more of like, it was almost like a motivational tool to keep me productive and focused also, which I liked a lot. It's like giving yourself an impossible task. I feel like that's part of me also, like, I don't know if it's like a flaw or something, but like I need to always have this impossible, stressful environment to get the best out of myself. It's like I need the pressure to make the coal into a diamond, even if it's like artificial and self-inflicted environment. And once I've got through something and there's no more pressure, I kind of freak out and I just add more. I make a new pressure cooker to like keep me going. It's probably not very healthy, but that's just kind of how my mind works, I guess, to stay productive. But at some point you got to slow down a little bit. But I find I keep putting more pressure around me. If something, like if I finish a book, like what's the next one? I got to figure out like the next thing to do.
Those 10 years of Huxley, did, obviously, now it's said and done, after the 10 years are up, it's been released. How did those, do you even reflect back at that time? And when you do, how did those 10 years feel? Did they feel like an excruciating amount of time, or did they go super fast?
Probably both. I mean, that was also part of the reason I wanted to do it, because time is very slow, but is also very fast. And especially as we get older and we get more comfortable, like the years kind of slip by. And to me, the kind of like every day was the hardest day of my life made it, at least there was like proof of my existence. Like this was a stressful day, or this was in October 5 years ago, but look what was produced in this 1 month when I was, 32 or whatever. Like there's a record of my time on Earth in visual form towards a product that I will be able to leave behind and kind of like prove that I existed. If I died, this thing remains, and there's, a visual representation of a human life left on this earth. I don't know, there's something to that that's really important to me. Like if I go, like once I was working on it, like, and I picked up Akira and I was like, oh my God, like this is like 6 years of someone's life, right? Just this one. This is like, you just start like calculating the time and you're like, oh my God. And you're just holding like human life in art form.
That's so true.
I don't know, there's something to that that's really powerful to me. And it was also like all my heroes did that. And it was also a way for me to be like connected to these people that I respect and admire. And I'm sure if I asked them, and I have had friends who've asked some of the graphic novels artists, like, "Oh, you inspired me," and they're maybe more pessimistic about it, like, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," or something like this. Uh, but I think there's something to that. Like, it's like it allows me to feel connected to artists that I really admire, even if I've never met them or
Mm.
they're not here anymore. It's like a shared experience that we all went through, and it's not something you can buy. You can't pay money to like force yourself to spend 10 years in a room to make a graphic novel. It's like you just have to like earn that experience.
Yes.
So there's something to that that's really I like a lot. I like this kind of thing. It's something that can never be taken away. It's like I just did it. I accepted that, you know, experience. Like I wanted that experience and kind of figured it out along the way. Um,
That's very poetic, considering, not to give too much away, spoiler wise, but how Huxley, I guess, comes to be, or what Huxley's purpose is, or that's revealed in the story, for example. And yeah, an artist just giving like to a page. Like, I've never looked at it in that particular way or summarized in that way, but yeah, that's someone's life. In this case, that's someone's life in their hands. That is of all the things, when you think of it, like, yes, the dynamic of creating today, you can get likes, you can get followers, you can get plaudits, you can get credits and what have you. But there's something very powerful, maybe even primal, about putting your time and effort into whatever medium it is and knowing that it's authentically you.
yeah.
How do you feel looking back at Huxley now?
I think it's exactly what it should be. I mean, like when I was finishing the book, there's the impulse to go back to the start and be like, oh, I could do so much better now, or oh, this page could be better. And I think back to the kind of like, this is a record of my time. It's like, nope, that's as good as I was back then. There's a few exceptions where I went back and like, okay, this is like exceptionally like stands out too much, but for the most part, I tried to keep things as that's what I was capable of doing at the time. There were things where I just wasn't good enough for some of the bigger environments early on, and I just had to because like one time I redid the page for a month. I'm like, I need to stop. Like I'm not good enough. I just need to trust that after I do like 20 more pages, I'll probably be good enough to come back and solve this. And sometimes I would do that also, where it was like, I got to stop. This is not. I'm just not good enough right now. And then a few months later or half a year later, it's like I figured it out and I'm good enough to paint that painting or something. But yeah, it's almost like not school, but like it's like an experience that you go through that you learn a lot about yourself and you improve yourself, even though you're creating a book. It's just there's a lot of like psychological like self-improvement things that you need to do to make something like that. That again, no one can take away from you. It's like something you just have to experience and go through, but kind of by yourself, which is, I don't know, which makes it even more kind of special in a way.
Yeah. So like, what would you say are the things that are part of you right now that you would not have gained or become if you had not embarked on creating Huxley?
I mean, I think a lot of it is like building on top of all the other experiences in film and stuff. I mean, some of it was like maybe like Elysium was the first film where I went from like nothing to a final film coming out in the cinema, and there's a level of patience that you learn. Oh, okay, this is how long it takes, for a big movie with like thousands of people or whatever. And so I think that helped with the patience a little bit of like, okay, this is how long, this is what you should be doing at this part of the process, and this is what you should be doing here. Obviously, a graphic novel, like I have no understanding of where I should be or what, but that helped set the tone of pacing. So like when I was at 4 years, I was getting anxiety of like, oh, the movie would be coming out now. What should I, and talking to graphic novel friends, like, no, just finish it. So maybe it helped me with patience more, even more so than working in film, where it's like, okay, if this takes like 8 years or something, or however long to like actually make all the art, that's okay. And just having the understanding of time management of something that big, where it was like, oh, I should do this video for this website or something. Oh, that's going to delay my finish line by 2 months. Is it worth it? Like, just a lot of these mental time management things. I don't know. You just learn a lot about yourself and learn a lot about like managing something for an individual project. And then after that, I think it helps set the pace for like where things are going now, where I'm kind of running teams to like make other things, and it's a bit bigger than me now, where it's expanding to like the next book. The Oracle is like the prequel to the first book, and figuring out the books after that, and kind of like what this first trilogy of books and stories will be. And then haven't thought too far outside of that, but I think managing and doing something that big helped with the sort of temperament I have now working with other people. That's maybe more calming, or like, here's how we have to do it to create this really cool thing. Like, understanding what it takes to allow something to, it's like a sculpture that needs more time to become a masterpiece, and understanding what needs to be done to allow that to happen, as opposed to just like, here's all the stuff, let's get it out there. It's like, it's not done yet. Like the sculpture is not finished. We need to do this and this and this. And like, I think maybe that line of understanding how to take those raw ingredients and mold it into something hopefully great, and the time it takes to do that, I maybe wouldn't have had before, maybe.
When we last spoke back in 2022, I don't think Huxley was out yet. When did you release it to the public?
I think it came out late last year officially, like from Thames and Hudson, Read Only Memory, on Amazon and bookstores and stuff. And then the next book is, I think the early hardcovers are shipping later this month, and then the Amazon Barnes and Noble version is early December. And then I think we should have another one next year sometime. But like, yeah, now it's kind of like there's schedule and got to meet deadlines, and now it's a different experience. But it was interesting too, because like, a little bit back to THU, the first THU I ever went to, I was a speaker, and I remember talking to Andre, and I was like, I think I want to make this book. I think I want to take some time and make a graphic novel. And then this time I gave him the book, and it was just like it had been like 10 years or whatever. And it's like a nice like full circle, like, hey man, here's that thing I said I was gonna do way back then. Yeah, it's a pretty cool experience.
When the book came out, how quickly, 'cause like you mentioned, like you're having this constant conversation with this project, with yourself, with the whole process, and trying to figure out what to do next. When did it shift from being just me to now I need a team?
I think just when it was, because if I did it myself, I think for the graphic novel, there was something like a bucket list, a creative bucket list inside my head, where it was like, I want to do the first one 100% me. Like, I wanted to do all myself. And then after that, I'm okay with like other people being involved, because I know I can do it now. So I think for me, that was enough. I don't need to feel like I did 10 of them myself. Like, I know I can do it. I'm okay with other people helping. I'm okay with helping other artists in their career, and be on the forefront. And, you know, it's still my characters, it's still my stories, it's still my designs, but I'm okay with other people being involved on that, because that will end up happening anyway. Now, if like it gets adapted into a movie or something else, like maybe I'm a little bit involved, but I probably won't be able to be as involved, because of just someone else is funding it, or some other studio wants to buy the rights or something. So that kind of will happen anyway. So I guess I'm okay with like, if people want that, my version, it exists. And I'm okay with these other versions that are, you know, maybe altered or changed, and that's okay. And also, I don't want people to wait 10 years for part two or something. Yeah.
So is that like definitely the case? Like, there's nothing inside of you thinking, I really need to like kind of grab the reins and even grab the stylus and the pen and make every single mark. Like, you're definitely happy with being in the position you're in now, which is more like a overseer of things.
I'm kind of, yeah, it's kind of like, I guess I kind of am doing what Neil was doing on Elysium when I was starting. He's kind of helping, he's telling the story, he's helping guide it where he wants it. And yeah, it's kind of like that role has been reversed, and I'm kind of creating that situation for other artists now. And hopefully they create that situation for other artists themselves. And I told some of them, like, you know, I'm going to do my best. I'm still going to make mistakes. And then when you do it, you do better. And then you're still going to make mistakes, but keep improving it. And
sick.
Yeah.
How have you taken to that role?
I feel like it's the right, I feel like everything I do it happens when it's supposed to, and it's the right time for it to happen. And I guess I've always had like 1,000-foot view of like what I'm doing. Like, oh, at this age, I want to be doing this. Like in the back of my mind, like I want to finish a graphic novel by this age. And I've kind of been on my personal like timeline. Maybe I'm a little bit ahead of time of like where I wanted to be in my life. I thought this would take a little longer, but now it's like I'm kind of, again, a bit in uncharted territory. Like, oh, I thought maybe this would take longer, or oh, now the book's out, but now it's a new mountain to climb. Like, how do I get it adapted? How do I turn this into this? How do I get toys made? How do I want to make sure the book gets out there in a big way. Okay, we've kind of solved that, but okay, I need to get it more in front of the traditional comic book crowd. How do I do that? How do I get it in front of specifically the like Euro like crowd that loves heavy metal and Mobius and Metabarons and all these like Euro graphic novels that I think would really like this? Like, how do I specifically get it to that audience? It's like a whole other mountain to climb that's like demands a lot of time and attention. Or it's like, okay, the third book coming out, I think it would make a really cool animation or an anime. I don't quite have the whole story figured out just yet because it's a year or two away, but if I want to do that, I should have a script. So I've been working with others on like the full script of that and kind of going through the script writing process of like that other book. So it's more like, I like the idea of, it's kind of the same effort as what I did in a graphic novel, but I can do it for like 3 stories and how they all connect together in different mediums. Wow. And it's like a graphic novel is like a big Rubik's Cube in a way. Like you're solving this giant puzzle and making sure it all fits together. But now I'm just doing it on a bigger thing, and it's just going to take long. It'll probably take the same amount of time. It'll probably be like 10 years for all these things, but it's like a trilogy of stories in different mediums. And it's still as satisfying, but it's just, I won't be able to like do every single pixel or something. Sure. And that's okay, because it's like for a lot more than just one book. And I'm okay with that. Yeah.
That sounds like creatively fascinating in itself. Like, yes, like you just said, you can do it yourself, and you did this one, I guess you can go like this linear thread, this creative process. But now you're doing this like kind of Dr. Manhattan thing of working on multiple things at once and weaving them together. What's that creative exercise like? Like, do you kind of see everything as one entire moving object and you're just kind of making sure that it stays in the lanes it's supposed to be? Or does it kind of tell you what it needs?
As I'm going forward, there's definitely things where I am taking a little bit more, not necessarily feedback, but it's like, wow, the Warhammer audience really seems to like this. Not necessarily that I'm catering things to a certain audience, but like I wanted to tell a very like soldier war story, and it really clicked with that audience. So it's like, okay, that's really cool. The next story, I'm also trying to make each story maybe for a specific audience. So maybe this next story is very like macho soldier kind of heroic war story that will cater to a certain audience or respond to a certain audience, or the original graphic novel maybe is too playful to them. Like, it's interesting because there's so many things that have been created. So like the original graphic novel is maybe too illustrated for a certain audience. They really like this art, but then that audience maybe won't like this one, but that's okay. And then the third book might be quite different, and this audience won't like it, and that audience won't like it, but it'll have its own audience. Like if you wrote a traditional novel, a graphic novel audience maybe wouldn't want to read a traditional novel. Like, it's just different. Yeah. So I'm kind of experimenting in this way also, where it's like I like all of them, and I think a lot of people like all of them, but maybe what audience only likes this kind of thing, what audience only likes this. But that's kind of okay too, to me at least. Yeah.
That's cool. That is super fascinating. But how do you find that challenge? Because in a way, it's like, it's cool that you're catering to this specific kind of like audience, or people have a specific palette, for example. You're trying to like, give them what they're looking for. But then at the same time, sure, there's like this literally booby trap, right? Like, you can always fall into the tropes, and then it becomes not this like, well, in a negative sense, when it becomes fan service rather than
right,
like giving something to the fans which they never expected, and then it's like blows their mind, right? Is that something that you're kind of encountering, like those kind of like little, not riddles, but little challenges, and trying to still make it your own, your voice, Huxley, what it needs to be, but at the same time prescribe it to these people?
Yeah, I think because I designed everything already, there's less of that. And it's like, it's still a story I was wanting to tell, but it was like, oh, that maybe that's the audience that really is going to like this one.
That makes sense, yeah.
But a lot of it is still like, this is a story I wanted to tell, and I couldn't do that in the first one because it was a little more, not necessarily playful, but because it was illustrated, I was thinking about it a certain way. Maybe because the trailers that were adapted got so like, I really liked how realistic they looked and how serious it looked, but the tone of the original graphic novel maybe wasn't quite that. So like the next one, it's earlier in time, and I won't spoil anything, but it all makes sense why it's a little more kind of serious in tone anyway. So it kind of all fits. It's like a more serious story and a more serious time. So it all kind of works. Yeah.
Few more questions before we wrap up and I run out of time. So since Huxley's come out, we've seen trailers, we've got a new prequel book coming out. Just give me a little rundown on the trailers. Why did you feel that was needed? You mentioned obviously a little bit before that it was more a case of it's like a marketing device, right? Like to pitch to studios potentially, or clients, or whatever it might be. Has that taken on a life of its own, or is it still for that purpose?
Yeah, I think it was mainly for that, just to like show. I think it's really just like, this allows a more general audience to see like what this could be. And also it did help a lot because I just didn't have time to like design everything super detailed in the book, because it would take me like 900 years to like illustrate everything that detailed. So like, it was really helpful to do that as I was finishing the book also, where it's like, oh, I know what I wanted this to look like. I just didn't have time. And I could work with the Antonio, who was a character sculptor at the time. Like, oh, I want this pipe to look this way with this material and this shape. The head needs to look like this, and these are the angles I want. The armor, I know I didn't have time to do it, and I could just do paint overs or go into ZBrush myself to help. So it really helps solidify all that. So like, if we want to make toys, those are all ready to go. If we want to throw it at Unreal, we have like the exact character there. So it really helped and solved a lot of problems. Like, I mean, like we've already got like, printing some toys. Like, this is the cinematic model we made, and it's just posed and adapted to be printable. And it's all in metal and stuff. Like, it's actual metal. Like, I don't know. It just opened up a lot of possibilities, or even like smaller ones, like Warhammer kind of scale. Like,
Cool.
it definitely helped a lot in a lot of different ways. And then when we made the second trailer for Oracle, worked with Siama Pedersen, who did that amazing Astartes Warhammer film. So he's like great at these kind of like macho soldier stories. I thought that was like an amazing fit. And again, it's just like expanding and building the brand and building awareness. And like, it was interesting going to a Fan Expo Canada recently, where just meeting people on the ground and like how people on like a lot of people knew about it from the trailers or knew about it from Reddit posts, knew about it like from uh yeah, just how people someone saw it in the store, some people thought it was this, some people didn't understand it was a book, some people thought it was only a book, and like it was interesting just to see like what I'm putting out and what people see or how they see it. And um I do think the trailers help for sure. Like for gamers and film people think it's cool, then book people think it's cool. I don't know. It just getting more into like brand building. Like how do you expand something and help it find its audience? Yeah.
There's people that you've collaborated with since. Many of them are friends of the podcast. They've been on the podcast. Some of them are Learn Square instructors as well. Amazingly talented people. Any shout outs you want to give to some of the people that you're working with and collaborating with?
Yeah, two of the main artists, Steve Wang and Nicholas Gecko, are like my main senior artists on the next couple books. It's been awesome to work with them and done some of my favorite illustrations like ever for the books, and I can't wait for everyone to check it out in print form. It really feels like you're reading a movie, and they just did some really incredible artwork and illustrations and designs and stuff. And yeah, I can't wait to see it out there and hopefully see it on the big screen or small screen someday as well. It's really cool. Yeah.
And the Oracle, why a prequel?
Well, the ending of the original graphic novel gets pretty weird. It gets very anime, which I like. But I have ideas where to take it, but it can kind of go like really crazy. And also from like an adaptation standpoint, it can get very expensive. So, part of the reason prequels was I think there's a way to do some really like more grounded, like human stories, which maybe are easier to resonate with people. But also I really want to show the scale of like when the kind of like AI and machine empire was like at the height of its power. Almost like I want to see like the Roman Empire of robotics and machines and artificial intelligence in this world. And I couldn't really show that in Huxley because everything had been destroyed by then, and it's just kind of like everything's really messed up, and it's like the end of it's all kind of like hanging by a thread. But like, what did it look like when it was like the height of power? I guess that's very expensive though too, but I really want to see what that would look like and tell a story with that backdrop, like how these humans become soldiers in this army, like how they're born, how are they cloned and brought into existence in this world and brought up and trained. And the next few stories are like this whole cycle of existence in this world. And not to get too into it, but I feel like it's kind of we're at the early stages or seeds of what could eventually lead to something like that in our lives. So it's kind of like pretty I know I wrote this a few years ago, but it's like it's already kind of like getting to like the early stages of like what that might be. And it's weird to see because like on Elysium we imagined all these like crazy future military robots, and like now they're building them like that. Figure One and all these like Tesla robot and stuff, and like, man, it looks like some of the stuff we did. Like, this is crazy. Like, even within just like, I don't know, like a few movies ago that I worked on stuff when no one was doing that, and like the stuff Aaron and myself and Christian and all those guys did, like they're kind of walking around now. It's just like, wow, that happened fast. I guess it wasn't that fast, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that must clearly is wild seeing it, but especially for a sci-fi film where you may imagine in the future and almost like it has to be like fantastical, right? Like a lightsaber, for example. Like although there's things that emulate it, it's never going to exist. Although we probably said that about AI stuff and robots and stuff. I'd love for a lightsaber to exist, by the way. But like, how has that affected you or even influenced you as a creative? Like, is it making you kind of, obviously the universe and the story will dictate what needs to be created anyway, but almost seeing something that, at least in a sci-fi sense, that can happen tomorrow. Does that kind of change where your head goes now when you're looking for inspiration or where to take things?
I think it helps push me. I mean, that's also why Huxley is like thousands of years in the future. So I'm kind of glad I did that too. Like it's just, it's so far in the future that it gives more flexibility for like what things can look like, but it's also like, it's definitely an unknown. Like it's so far in the future, it's an unknown. Like a lot of things can happen and cycles can repeat themselves. Like civilization an advancement can go really high, then destroy itself and then start again and destroy itself. Like, so like there's a lot of flexibility. Like for us, we're kind of in the first, like, here's technology ramping up to like such a high level and it's like a crazy unknown. Like no one knows what's going to happen. Which is fascinating. I mean, I read a lot of like books about advancement of technology. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. And for Huxley, it was like, what would happen if this happened and for 3,000 years, like where could that potentially go? And that sort of stuff fascinates me, to come up with these plausible designs or plausible scenarios and something that's like very far in the future. Yeah.
Ben, I have a bazillion more questions to ask you, but we have run out of time.
Sure.
What can we expect from Huxley? And how can the listeners check out the Huxleyverse as it is in the moment?
Sure. Main thing would be huxleysaga.com is the main website. You can get the original book on Amazon, the original graphic novel that I made. It's in bookstores. You can go to pick it up at Barnes & Noble. The next prequel book, The Oracle, is available. The hardcovers from Read Only Memory should be shipping later this month. And then the public version in Amazon and Barnes & Noble will be early December, in time for holiday season. And I hope you guys check it out. It's a really cool expansion of the Huxley universe into the first prequel story with some amazing art from Steve Wang and Nicholas Gecka.
Ben, thanks so much for jumping on again. It's incredible. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Aaron.
A massive thanks to Ben for that amazing conversation. Hit the links to check out the Huxley Saga and all the incredible content that awaits you. Then when you're done, head to learnsquare.com and realize your own creative visions. You can even take courses from instructors who have directly collaborated with Ben on Huxley, such as Steve Wang, Sava Zivkovic, and Antonio Esparza, as well as our library of over 70 courses. Remember, all of our first lessons are free. I've been your host, Aaron Danda. Till next time.